Hi, my name's Ethan, and today I'll show you how to access Welder Library's online databases in order to find scholarly peer-reviewed journal articles and ebooks. The easiest way to get to our page on umary.edu is simply to Google UMary Welder Library. From there, we should be the first link in the results. So let's go ahead and click on Online Databases. That should bring you to our page on umary.edu, and all you would need to do from here is click on the orange View Online Database button. That'll bring you to our A to Z page, database page, where we have all of our databases listed. Just a few databases that we recommend that are subject specific. We do recommend all EBSCO databases for any general topic. For anything in humanities and liberal arts, such as philosophy, history, theology, literature, anything again within humanities and liberal arts, JSTOR is going to be a really good one to use. Anything within, say, nursing or health sciences, we can go to the subject drop-down menu here and click on Health Sciences Nursing. And whenever you search here, it'll bring up all the databases that are relevant for health sciences and nursing. A couple that we definitely recommend for nursing are going to be definitely the EBSCOhost databases, certainly PubMed, and then also Sage is going to be another good one. So EBSCO, PubMed, and Sage are going to be great for nursing and health sciences. Generally, any topics within current events or business or economics, we really like this ProQuest US News Stream, this US News Stream by ProQuest database here. This is going to get you access to pretty much any popular US daily newspaper, whether it's the Washington Post or the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, that sort of thing. That's going to be able to get you access to, again, those kind of popular journals. Okay. Just to give you an overview of what these databases are going to look like, we'll go into this all EBSCOhost databases. Like I said, this one's a really good one for getting a kind of broad, general search for pretty much anything. EBSCOhost is kind of like an umbrella for a lot of different databases. So it's got access to a whole lot of stuff. Go ahead and get logged in here. The login for this is going to be the same UMary email address and password you use to get into everything. So Canvas and my.umary and all that. Okay. Like I said, EBSCOhost is kind of like an umbrella for a lot of different databases. So you'll notice if you click here where it says all databases, it'll bring you a list of all of the EBSCOhost databases that it has access to. Notice this list is going to be slightly different from the list that we were just on. The list that we were just on, this A to Z page, is going to be all of the databases that we have access to total. This list here is going to be only the ones that EBSCOhost has access to. So even if you can't find what you need with EBSCOhost, you still have a lot more options. Okay. Before even doing a search, 9 times out of 10, I like to check off this peer review checkbox right here. Basically, what that means is that once you click that off, only articles or ebooks that have been peer reviewed are going to appear. Basically, what peer reviewed means is it's kind of like a way of before an article has been published in a journal, it's gone through some sort of review process, whether it's been read by different professors at different universities or some sort of editorial board that makes sure that the author goes from point A to point C with a way that makes sense with the evidence that they give, with the data that they give. So 9 times out of 10, you're going to want peer-reviewed articles for any sort of scholarly research. The only thing that this would limit out, that this would restrict, is checking this off, you would not get things like newspaper articles. So if your topic is somewhat related to anything within current events, that would really be the only time where you would not want to check that off. Um, this full text button here, I generally recommend not checking that off. Basically, if you were to check that off, only articles that are available to download right away would appear. The reason why I generally don't recommend checking that off is because even if an article is not available full text in EBSCOhost, we can probably get it to you through Interlibrary Loan pretty easily. And I can show you guys how to do that in just a few minutes. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get a search in here. Let's just do nursing shortage. See what comes up. Okay, so we got about 28,000 results, which is obviously way too many to go through, and they're probably not all super relevant. Let's go ahead and go to this advanced search option here, play around with some of these tools. So this first one you'll notice here, these are your Boolean operators. Boolean operators are just a big fancy term for the word and or not. Generally speaking, I really only recommend using the word and. The reason why is because that's going to narrow your search down. So if we did, for example, nursing shortage and let's just do burnout. Basically, what you're telling the search engine to do here is you're telling it that I only want to see results that contain both the term nursing shortage and burnout in the same article at the same time. So it is going to narrow your search down, which means it's going to make the results more relevant for whatever research you're doing, but it is going to narrow out all of the articles that did not contain the word burnout, for example. So it is a bit of a double-edged sword. You'll get less results, but those results will probably be more relevant and more helpful depending on what kind of research you're doing. Okay, another thing that I like to play around with is this publication date option here. Generally, within the health sciences, we're always going to want things that's the most up-to-date, the most current. So generally speaking, for any topic within health sciences, you're probably going to want to change the publication date to be the last 10 years or the last 5 years. So we'll go ahead and do that here. Let's see what kind of results we get. So we're going to go from about 28,000 results to just over 1,000. So these ones are probably a lot more relevant for us. Just a note with those Boolean operators again, that word and there, you don't have to use the advanced search option to put those in. Conceivably, you could just type the word and in there and you can even type another one if there's another search term that you want to include to narrow the search down even more. Definitely feel free to play around with that. Okay, let's go ahead and click into an article here. Okay, so a couple things on this page. Before even downloading the article, I always like to read the abstract first. The abstract is going to give you a really good idea of what's going on in the article beyond the title itself. It's going to help you discern whether or not the article is actually going to be relevant for whatever research you're doing, whether or not it's going to be helpful, or to what degree it'll be helpful for the research that you're doing. Basically, the abstract is going to give you an idea of what the author's argument is in a kind of summary form. Another thing that I like on this page are these major subjects and minor subjects. These can be useful if you're just starting out doing research and you're not super familiar with the terms that are used within a given field. Basically, what these are, you'll notice that we use nursing shortage and burnout, and we got burnout here and nursing shortage here. So this is how the search engine organized this to be the first search result. Having said that, what you can do with these is they can kind of help you brainstorm different search terms to use. Say if you find a really good article that's really relevant, check out the major subjects and the minor subjects, see what kind of terminology they use, just to see if there's any related topics that could be useful. Another thing that's sometimes in here is it'll say author supply keywords. Again, these are just other keywords that you could use in that search bar to help in your research. Okay. There is a citation tool, which is pretty nifty here at the very top. All of the major citation styles are available here. The only thing I recommend is taking this with a bit of a grain of salt, just because it is going to get the format right pretty much every time. But sometimes I have noticed that it does do some wonky things within the specifics of the citation. So just make sure if you're using any sort of citation tool that you make sure that the citation is actually correct before you submit anything in a final draft. If you use a citation manager in a browser or a Word document, if you use a citation manager, this is where you would go to export that file there. Again, if you use one, that would be where that would be at. Okay, probably the most important thing on this page is where to actually go to download and read the article. You can do that here, or you could go under Access Options and select which option you would like to download it as. Let's do PDF. That way we'll actually be able to read the article. I definitely 100% recommend downloading the article right away to your desktop as soon as you think you're going to need it. The reason why I recommend downloading it right away is because once you download it, you've got it forever. You don't have to worry about what database did I use, what search terms did I use, what page was it on within the database that I used, do I have internet access? Once you download it, you've got it forever. You can access it wherever you want. You can organize your research however you want. So again, I definitely recommend downloading it right away as soon as you think you're going to need to use it. Okay, let's go back a page here, and I'll show you what to do if there's ever an article that you find that is not a full text PDF right away. That is where Interlibrary Loan is going to come in and be super helpful for us. Okay, so let's try this one here. So let's say title seems interesting. Maybe the abstract is a little more interesting. Let's go to access options. But you notice that you can't request this item right away, or you can't download this item right away. When you click on request this item, it'll bring you to Iliad, which is our interlibrary loan service. There is a more in-depth tutorial video on how to use interlibrary loan, which I definitely recommend checking out. Just to give you a quick overview, basically how interlibrary loan works is if there's ever an article or a chapter of a book that you don't have immediate access to, we can send that request along to a library that owns it. They'll scan it, and then they'll send you an electronic copy within a couple of days, or within the same day if you're really lucky. Basically, what you would do here is as soon as you log in, it will automatically fill out the request form for you, and all you'd have to do from there is click on submit. If you've never used Iliad before, however, you will have to make an account by going right here to first-time users. If you've already made an account, all you would do is log in with the credentials that you've made, and again, it'll automatically fill out a form for you, and all you need to do from there is click on submit request. So it's kind of a nifty way to get those articles a little bit quicker within EBSCOhost. Okay. This is kind of a basic overview of how EBSCOhost works. Every database that we have is going to be set up in a similar way. They're not all going to be exactly formatted in exactly the same way. The buttons are going to be in slightly different places. But in brief, that's how a database is going to work. All the databases that we have access to, I should say. If you find, again, that you're not quite finding what you need out of EBSCOhost, we do have a lot of other databases available for you to use. If, however, you've already got your research question and you've tried a few databases and you're just not quite getting what you need out of those databases, we do have reference appointments available to schedule one-on-one, either in person or online. And a reference librarian would be able to help you kind of form that research question, nail down different search terms, just kind of be a one-on-one support in the research process and just kind of help you, again, one-on-one with whatever questions you have in going through the databases and doing research. In order to schedule one of those, if you just scroll to the very top of the page and then go to research support, and then from there you can book an appointment with our reference librarian. Interlibrary Loan, there's a link to Interlibrary Loan here as well. Again, definitely check out that tutorial video for help using Interlibrary Loan. Like I said, with that, we can get you access to pretty much anything so long as you have the citation information for it. Okay. Otherwise, if there's any other help that you need, at the top of the page here on this right side, that'll bring up our contact information. This is where you can get into contact with us if there's any sort of research help that you need. Otherwise, I hope this was helpful. Like I said, let us know if there's any questions that you have. Otherwise, happy researching. Hope this was helpful.